Hey readers, it's Miss Mozol here. We're on our third week of online learning. These last few weeks we've talked a lot about our thinking voice and how it helps us while we are reading. It helps us understand what we are reading. Well, today I want to do a lesson on how our thinking voice can actually help us and whisper to us after we're done reading. I want to have you pay attention to what I have here on the screen. And I want you to pretend that under the title original, pretend that's a text that I'm reading, like that an author wrote, some kind of, maybe some nonfiction text, okay? And I am getting ready to write a report or an essay or maybe a persuasive letter, and I'm gonna use some of the facts and details that I've read in this text. Okay, I think it's great information that I can really use. Well, one way that I can use the information from that nonfiction text is just to quote it, right? To take the exact words from that text and put it in my retell using quotations. All right. But today I want to teach you another way to retell. And that way is called paraphrasing. Say that word, paraphrasing or paraphrase. Miss Mozol is going to show you how to do this. Well, when you paraphrase, it's very important to take that original text and put it in your own words. But when you put it in your own words, you have to make sure that you're not leaving out any of the important information or details, right? Well, sometimes that can be really, really tricky, okay? So that's why I'm here today. Today I'm here to give you some tips and some steps to help you paraphrase. All right, so looking at the screen, what do you notice about, so you look at the original side, right? You see about 6 or 7 lines. And then on my paraphrase side, I want you to pretend that I wrote, the same amount of sentences. So what you should notice, tip number 1, is that your paraphrase should be very similar in length with the original text, okay? A lot of times we get all of these great big ideas from the original text, and then we go to retell or paraphrase, and our retell or paraphrase is only a sentence or 2 long. Well, that is not a very good paraphrase, okay? So tip number 1 again is make sure that your paraphrase is about the same length as your original text. All right. Now, the second part that I feel is very, very tricky and hard is putting that text, all that important information in your own words. Well, you might say, like, Miss Mozol, how do I do that? That can be very difficult. It can be very tricky. Well, tip number 2. A good way to make sure that you are putting the original text in your words, in your own words, is to use synonyms, right? Using synonyms. Synonyms are words. Let me change the screen here. Synonyms are words that mean exactly or nearly the same thing. So, as you're reading, you can think of words that are similar, that will express the same idea that the author is trying to use in his text. And I do see on the screen here that original, I'm missing that I there. So I want you to pay attention to that as well, that I did misspell that. Okay, so now, I want to give you some steps to help you remember how to paraphrase. Now, before I show you the steps, I'm going to go over them very quickly, but I'm going to use hand gestures to kind of help you remember those steps, okay? So, step number 1, when paraphrasing, you need to read the text. So, obviously, you can't use your thinking voice until after you read something, right? So, you're going to take your hands like this and pretend that you're reading, right? So, read the text. Step number 1. Step number 2 is going to be to remove the text. So, watch my hands. Put your hands down, okay? That means you're removing the text. Step number 3 is where your thinking voice comes in, right? Step number 3, I want you to put your hand like this and pretend that you're talking. So you're going to use this hand to represent you thinking out loud and explaining to yourself what you just read, right? Step number 4 is taking those ideas that your thinking voice just came up with and jotting them down or typing them out, right? Type out or write your explanation. All right, that's step number 4. Okay, let's repeat the 4 steps again. I know there are 5, but let's just go over the 4 again. So it's read the text. Okay, gather up all that information. Keep that distracting voice quiet and read, read, read. All right, remove the text. Say out loud what you just read in your own words, right? That's your retell. Okay? Step number 4, write or type what you just said in your own words. Now, step number 5, you're going to grab that text again. Watch my hands come back up. And you're going to read it again. All right? You're going to look at your text again. Why are you going to look at your text again? Well, this is where you can see if you spelled the names correctly that you wanted to use, or dates, or any information that you just want to recheck. Because when you're in that step 4 mode, when you're just writing what you said out loud, Miss Mozol doesn't want you to worry about spelling or if you got the date correct, because you just got all that new information, all that new detail, and you're putting that in your own words, so you have to get it down quickly on paper. All right, so look at the screen. Let's do this together. Let's go over these steps again. Steps for paraphrasing, which is just a retell of what an author wrote in your own words. All right, let's do our hand gestures. 1, read. 2, remove. Right? I'm going to use that bit of information in my report. So now get your talking, right? Your talking hand out, and this is where you're explaining your idea out loud. Just explain it out loud to yourself, right? What did I just read? How could I say that in my own words? What is that author trying to say to me? Okay? All right, you got that. Use that thinking voice. You got it out, right? Put that hand down, get that pencil out, or get on that keyboard and start writing or typing your explanation, right? Make sure that it's the same length or pretty close to the original text that you read, or the original paragraph from that text that you read. All right, stop. Go back to your original text, and that's where you can kind of check and say, oh, yeah, I did get that idea right. And, oh, that's how you spell his name. Or, oh, I got that date wrong, but that's okay. Let me correct that now. All right? All right, so in a minute, Miss Mozol, right now actually, Miss Mozol is going to show you how to use these steps and those tips to write a paraphrase. Okay, so I pulled this text. It's kind of blurry right now, but it really doesn't matter because you're not going to have to use it. Miss Mozol is not going to read it out loud to you. I'm just going to pretend that I read it, right? Because that's the first step. before I do that, I just want to tell you quickly what it's about. It's about trees and how you can tell the age of a tree. And if you look down here in the right-hand corner, there's a diagram and it shows you rings, and rings tell you how old a tree is, depending on the color of the rings and so on and so forth. So pretend I read the text and I'm like, wow, I can use this in my report, right? So I'm going to think, what are the 5 steps in paraphrasing? Okay, number 1, read. All right, I read it and I want to use it, right? I want to use this information, but I have to write it in my own words because that's what a paraphrase is. Okay, step 2, I'm going to remove the text. I don't need it anymore. I'm going to put it to the side. All right, step 3, my thinking voice, right? I'm going to take my hand out and I'm going to say out loud exactly what I read. So here I go. Wait. Oh, I can't remember. Readers, that's okay. That happens all the time. It happens to adults, happens to kids, happens to teachers, right? That distracting voice comes right in and I can't hear that thinking voice sometimes. So if that happens, I don't care how many times it happens. If it does happen, you repeat step 1, 2, and 3. So let me do that again. My distracting voice messed me up. Let me repeat it. Let me repeat. I'm going to read again. Da 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 da. Okay, I read it. Now, watch my hand gesture. I'm going to remove the text. I'm going to put it to the side. All right, that was step 2. Step 3, now I was paying attention this time, right? Because the first time I was not paying attention. Step 3 says I have to say what I read. All right. Step 4, what do I have to do? I write it down real quick or type it. And step 5, I again bring the text back up and check to see if I got dates right, spelling right, all of that good stuff. So there's the text I read. Here is the piece of text that I want to paraphrase. All right, so watch me do the steps now. I'm going to read it. These rings can tell us how old the tree is. 1 light ring plus 1 dark ring equals 1 year of the tree's life. Okay, remove. All right, use my thinking voice and say it out loud. Oh no, my distracting voice came in. I hear the TV in the background. Let me repeat steps 1, 2, and 3. All right, let me read it again. Let me focus. These rings can tell us how old the tree is. 1 light ring plus 1 dark ring equals 1 year of the tree's life. Okay, I want to remove it. I don't want to look at that text because I want to put it in my own words. And if I look at the text while I'm doing step 3, saying it out loud, I may start using the author's words. So let me get my thinking voice. All right. Let me get my thinking out loud, talking hand here to help me. So I think I remember now. Let me think. Well, I can remember a tree has many rings. And I remember 1 ring for every year is how old a tree is. And each year it gets a light ring and a dark ring. All right, I think I'm getting it. I think I'm remembering. Okay, so I just said it out loud. What's step 4? Oh, step 4. I quickly better write that down before I forget it in my own words. So I wrote it down on my on the screen here. So I'm writing it. I actually typed mine, but you could write yours down. I wrote in my own words using synonyms A tree grows a light ring and a dark ring every year. That's how you know how old it is. Okay, so now what do? I have to bring back the original text. All right, so the original text is up top on your screen, and then my paraphrase is at the bottom. So I remember the tips that tip number 1 said that my paraphrase should be close to the same length as the original text. So let me check that first. So let me just count the words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So there are 24 words in my original text. Now, let me see how many words are in my paraphrase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty close in length. So I did do that, and I know that when I reread it that I do have the same idea. I got all the important facts and details, and I used my very own words because it is my retell. It's my paraphrase. So I want to put it in my words. Okay. Let's try this one together. All right. So let's remember our steps. First, I'm going to read it. So let's get my hand out. All right. The light-colored rings represent wood that grew in the spring and early summer, while the dark rings represent wood that grew in the late summer and fall. Okay? Step 2, remove the text. I remove the text. Now, step 3, get your talking hand out, use your thinking voice, and explain out loud what you just read. Uh-oh. You know what happened, right? Happens to me all the time. My distracting voice. I heard Alex in the background talking. I didn't pay attention to what I read. So let me go back to step 1 again. All right, step 1. Let's read. The light color rings represent wood that grew in the spring and early summer, while the dark rings represent wood that grew in the late summer and fall. Okay, remove the text because I don't want that to get in the way of using my own words. Get my thinking voice, get my talking hand. Let me try to remember and think out loud. Well, I do remember a tree grows light rings in the spring and the beginning of summer. And I remember reading something about dark rings. The dark rings come at the end of summer, or the beginning of the fall, like when school starts, right? Okay, so while I have that all in my head, I want to go ahead and write that down or type it. Step 4, right? Write it down, type it. All right, in your own words. So look at my screen. I typed mine down already. The tree grows its light ring in the spring and in the beginning of summer. At the end of summer and into the fall, the tree grows its dark ring. I think I may have gotten it. I got the main point of the paragraph from the original text. I don't think I forgot any important details, and I put it in my own words. But let's check. Okay, so here's the original. On the left is the original text that the author wrote, right? The text that I read. And on the right-hand side is my paraphrase. So, tip number 1 said, make sure that your original text is the same length or pretty close to your paraphrase, right? So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. All right, so that paragraph had 28 words. Now let's read my paraphrase to see if I came pretty close to that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 30 and 28. Very, very similar in length. So that's perfect. And there really aren't any dates or important names or words that I would have to check here. So I did all of my steps. I checked to make sure that they were the same length. They are in my own words. I used a few synonyms. So there you have it. A very good paraphrase, right? So when we meet on Wednesday, when we Zoom on Wednesday, we're going to practice some of these together. It's hard to practice with you because, we're not in front of one another. So I will have a text that we can practice paraphrasing together. So in the meantime, Miss Mozol wants you to remember the steps and the tips, okay, to paraphrasing. Try to make sure that when we Zoom on Wednesday that you bring like a piece of paper or pencil, okay, so that we can all share our paraphrases. Before we leave today, let's review the steps in paraphrasing. And let's do our hand gestures to help us remember. Step 1, read. Step 2, remove. Step 3, explain out loud in your own words. Step 4, hurry up. Before you forget, type them or write them. Write the explanation. Step 5, return to the text to check to make sure that you understood what you read, that you didn't miss any important facts, dates, spelling, all of that great stuff. Okay? All right, so readers, I will see you on Wednesday and we will practice paraphrasing. Have a good week. I miss you.